Welcome to Spark 101 Voices, where we have stimulating conversations around STEM learning and STEM earning. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Spark 101 decided to highlight individuals and organizations that are going above and beyond to help people during this difficult time, and we are calling them Spark Superheroes. Juliette and Nicholas McKinley have been nominated as a Spark Superhero for their work creating daily STEAM activities for students of all ages. In this Spark 101 Voices podcast, you'll hear how a desire to help others and a passion for STEAM led to an innovative student-run class reaching learners near and far. Join me now as I speak with the McKinleys. Juliette and Nicholas are both Master 4-Hers and juniors at the Capstone Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. You can connect with Juliette and Nicholas on their Facebook page by searching McKinley's 4-H STEAM Project Club. We will also be joined by Miss Bell, one of the McKinley's teachers from Capstone Academy. Juliette and Nicholas are also Spark Superheroes. To learn more about the hashtag Spark Superhero series, visit spark101.org. Welcome everyone. Ms. Bell, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to nominate Juliette and Nicholas as Spark Superheroes?
Gosh, it was a no-brainer for me when I saw what you all were doing. They were the first students that popped into my mind, honestly, because they are so accomplished. They're just remarkable. They stand out because they're so bright, and what they do, they took initiative in school even before COVID. They founded clubs at our school, and then I, as a parent, have been just impressed to be able to use what they've been doing since COVID on Facebook with their STEAM projects. And so when you talk about a superhero, I just thought about them and what they're doing. They don't have to be doing these things, but they choose to, and I think that's remarkable. So that's why.
Right, that's outstanding. McKinley's, do you want to add to anything there?
I would say definitely a big part of what we're doing now is definitely because of our teachers, like Ms. Bell. They were just such an inspiration of us just to continue in the sciences and want to spread what we learned in the class and what we learned on our own because of them. And so they're just such a big inspiration.
A couple of our labs have actually been inspired by stuff that we've done in Miss Bell's class, and a few of them have been done with, we take a lot of the stuff that we've learned from Capstone and then apply it. Like one of our main ones that comes to mind is one that we learned from chemistry, the bouncy ball activity. We were learning about polymers at the time. We did one on motors with stuff that you had around the house. We actually had a contest in her class about who could really get a motor going for at least a minute, and Nicholas and I were able to win, which was fantastic. But she has been a great supporter when it comes to our STEM activities and anything we've ever done. Granted, right now she's not a teacher who we have a class in currently, but like every time we were at school, if I ever needed anybody or anybody I wanted to talk to, or if I wanted to share something or she had a question about like art, she was always the go-to teacher.
That was actually Juliette as the go-to for me because I was looking for support for my artistic son. So I knew Juliette used this tablet, and so I asked her about it one day. I think we were just talking, and I was like, Juliette, what's the thing that you do? And she shared it with me and showed me how to use it, showed my son how to use it, and then it was his Christmas present. So.
Unfortunately, due to the quarantine, haven't been able to launch this, but I at one point had really bad anxiety, and I discovered kind of art to help combat that with Zentangling, as we did a class on that. Miss Bell and I were going to host a class with Zentangling for a lot of students and teachers so that it could be like how to teach them how to like use art to cope with stressful situations. Unfortunately, that never lifted off, but I hope we can when we return to school.
We absolutely will.
Ms. Bell nominated you two as Spark STEM Superheroes. So I want you to talk to me about the 3D printing, and I want you to talk to me about the Facebook channel.
So basically, long story short, is our 4-H program development coordinator, that is her official name, Dr. Lori, we had started to see as COVID-19 erupted, there was a need for masks, and she had sent us videos showing how people were 3D printing masks. And we originally thought, hey, we just got a 3D printer. Why don't we see what we can do with that? And Nicholas was the one who really homed it home because he was the one who found the mask that we decided to use.
So yeah, we were like, okay, so we want to do this. So now we actually need to know the materials, know the supplies, know who we want to give it to. So, ultimately we just started. So we were talking to people. We ultimately got the first set of supplies. But after we started getting supplies, we had people contacting us. The first set of masks that we had given to was the same volunteer clinic that I did work at for Hanger Prosthetics. And they were like, oh my gosh, we love these masks. And we hadn't even completed them. We gave them the base mask without any of the other materials that we use, such as the strings that go around them on the ears. So after that, we just had other people. One of our friends, who their great-grandmother was in a nursing home, they were like, please, can we have these masks? And, we didn't even ask them to pay. They were like, we'll donate you supplies. So ultimately, we just kept giving them, or we kept doing our masks. And I think in total, we did 61. We've given a total of 61 masks to ultimately other people. We've given them to families. We've given them to our cousins. But the main group that we gave them to was the local fire department, where they could distribute them to wherever they needed. And then what was the other one?
It was Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, it was Meals on Wheels. And so we just distributed those masks in total, and it was such a great accomplishment for us.
And we couldn't necessarily achieve it without applying for the grant we did. We applied for Pebble Tossers, where they gave us a grant of $1,000, where we then kind of divided the money up. We used about $100 for the funding for our mask, to buy filament, to buy the elastics, and then the rest was donated to those organizations we talked about, our local fire station, and also the hot meals. So basically, or Meals on Wheels, where basically not only did we donate masks, we also donated our grant money to them to help them out, which supplied them with over $90 for food.
Well, it was over $400, but that pretty much supplied around 90 meals for them, which was more than half of the daily meals that they served.
415 grocery.
Yeah. 415 grocery cards. So with Facebook page, going back to that, is basically on the news, kind of we saw how people were kind of freaking out because they couldn't educate their kids. The classes weren't online. A lot of kids in public school aren't provided with different classes or online classes. So we thought it would be important that we love STEAM, and we originally were having a 4-H STEAM club at our county extension office. And we also had one with school, so we decided, why not make a virtual one for everybody of all age groups that anybody can use? And from then, we kind of took it off, because a lot of times the original terminology is it STEM? It's originally STEM, and it doesn't include the art, which we wanted to make it STEAM, because not everybody is entirely on the technical side, but not everybody is entirely on the art side. So we wanted to include that as well, and just ultimately educate those in need, and also have fun with it. A lot of our classes, pretty much, they have a lesson behind them, talking about the specifics behind them, and a fun class that they can do at home with materials they have at home.
And being that they're live, we kind of set it up to where we have, mainly we'll have one person doing the project, the other sibling kind of recording, and then we'll have our mom on the computer just listening to comments and questions and concerns and anything that they have. And then, so we'll do the video, and people will comment and say all the cool stuff, and they'll see our co-host Cats. And then really after the videos is one of the great parts that we get to see, because one of our recent videos that we did, we made towers out of marshmallows and jelly beans and toothpicks. And we get to see all these great comments and pictures and supplies of kids doing the actual videos and saying how good they were. Because we've even had people from across the country liking our videos and saying it. We've had people from Idaho, Nebraska, Pennsylvania. So just people who are just all over the country because they just need something to do.
So where are you getting your ideas for your lessons?
kind of everywhere. Now, with the art side, I try to do things that I've originally been taught to do. Basically, I looked at a couple paintings that I've done beforehand. I really like painting clouds and trees. Obviously, you can see that in a lot of my paintings, but there's something that people can affiliate with different things. So a lot of the art classes, I try to do stuff that is something that is easy and familiar to them. And also with the Girl Scouts, we did a partnership with the Girl Scouts where I taught multiple classes helping them earn their drawing badge, where they had to meet a certain amount of requirements, like draw a landscape, draw a still life, perspective, so that they could earn their drawing badge, not having to go to a class and being able to do it. And also with any other ideas towards STEM, some of the stuff, as I said, we took from school. Our bouncy ball lab, we took from chemistry. Our motor lab, we did from Miss Bell. And for a lot of the STEM projects, we went to a 4-H STEM ambassador training where we were taught basic classes that are just basic things. There's some that we weren't able to do because they don't have stuff that's around the house since we can't meet, but we could still teach those classes later on. But a lot of the ones we learned were definitely from 4-H.
So, first of all, we've been STEM ambassadors for a pretty good amount of time. I think it's, for 3 years. And it's just something that we've loved. Actually, I'm wearing my STEM ambassador shirt right now. And as Juliette was talking about, they've taught us the different classes that we've done, but they've also given us the opportunity to promote and basically just show what our classes have done and the impact that they've had. And, they haven't been our main factors for our ideas for classes, but what they taught us and just the overall friends that they've given us as well, because a lot of the people who are watching our classes and helping our classes are fellow STEM ambassadors as well. So it's just really given us the kind of push forward that we need to really give us this idea.
So basically you go for this training that's about a whole weekend long. It's usually attached to another 4-H event, so you get to partake in that as well. And basically they teach you how to teach classes to all age groups. We have to credit 4-H for our public speaking skills, because without that, we wouldn't be able to speak very well to most people. But basically, you go for this training, they educate you, and then throughout the months, they ask for like a daily check-in. What have you done? What STEM activities have you done to help others? Which basically inspires you to do stuff with other people. We got a STEM club up and running where there wasn't. So it's really a great program to be a part of.
You're both 4-H masters. What does that mean?
Well, basically, so that's how I explain it to non-4-Hers is a lot of times you think of I believe it's the Eagle Scout Award, where it's basically mastering is the highest honor you can achieve in 4-H. It's one of the highest ones you can achieve. And there's multiple ways to achieve it, but the main way is you go through project achievement, where you go to district and you give a presentation. You have to win first, but you also create a portfolio. So with the mix between your presentation and your portfolio it determines if you get to how high you'll place, because they're both taken into account. Then after doing it at district, you then have to compete at state, where your portfolio is judged again, you give your presentation, and you also go through an interview. And if you win first, that is how you can master. Technically, we're double masters, because we were elected to go to a conference or we competed to go into that will be in DC, where we're brought up specific problem and our opinion on it. So we were supposed to do that. We were supposed to go to DC. We still will receive the honor if we can make it to the new date. If not, but either way, we are technically going to be considered double masters. And I won in the horse project with equine prosthetics.
And I won with engineering and mechanics. And generally, this is where it all started, is through the project achievement, because that's where we got our public speaking. When we went there, one of the things they always like to tell the children, or just people doing it at the end, is that one of the number one fears for adults is public speaking. So that's where we got a lot of our public speaking and our just general love for the subjects that we have an interest in now. Juliette's done art, she's done sports. Obviously, I did my engineering and mechanics, and I did robotics a few years ago. But I started out with horse. And ultimately, I started out with that, but then I started to gain other interests, like my robotics. And through that, I've learned just an incredible amount through the recent year that I've had, that's where I've been able to do my volunteer service, and that's where I learned, or where I got to meet one of my great mentors. His name is Kevin Carroll. He's the vice president of Hanger Prosthetics, which is the world's largest prosthetic providing company today. Yeah. And he was also, if many people don't know him, in the movie Dolphin Tale. It's about where a man creates a prosthetic limb for a dolphin. He's the character that Morgan Freeman is trying to play.
It sounds like you have achieved everything you can achieve in 4-H. What's left?
So first thing is kind of at the county level. So they have different levels. We have your county level, your district level. In Georgia, we have 4 different districts. And then we have state level, and then obviously nationwide level. First of all, start small, or start with where you are. So we have our county level, where we have different positions in our county clubs. So right now, I'm the reporter for our club. Juliette, you are the...
So basically, as he said, with the different levels, you can do county. So Nicholas is the reporter. Next year, we're running for higher positions in our county.
Hopefully, I want to go for president next year of our county.
However, then, as he said, we have our 4 districts, and we're the Northwest District. I currently ran for the district officer position, where we had over 30 people run, only 8 people get the positions, and the most voted person becomes president, and second becomes vice president. And this was my last year. You have to be a junior, or you have to be a high schooler, but you can't run again once you're a senior. So junior is your last year. And this year, I actually received the honor of being chosen for president, which
Congratulations.
really cool. But then another way you can do it is you can also run for state board. Unfortunately, I can't because I'm a junior, and I already received a position on the district level. But one thing that we often get asked is, you've already mastered, why do you still keep going? Is 4-H is such a great organization, and you don't have to stop after mastering. You can still do project work. You can still give back to the community. As we said, we keep doing these different classes. We basically, 4-H just taught us to kind of be leaders and help others as much as possible. So basically, you can still help with your county. You can still help others master. You can help give them critiques. You can help people in the category that you won in, because you're no longer back into that category. You can give them advice. And you can go on to be a camp counselor. You can go on to do a lot of things. So basically, you can also do Dean's Award and Leadership in Action, which are 2 other kind of contests that you can compete in that include a service project. So basically, you're not done after mastery. You can still do so much more. And you can receive, by doing Dean's Award or Leadership in Action, you can also master in more ways than one. So you can have more than one master.
And the thing is, let's say you win one, if you've already received a master status, and because they have state congress or national congress. So that's one of the events that if you master, you're allowed to go to that. But if you've already mastered, you can't go twice. That's one of the things that they've had. They'll give you scholarships. So let's say you've mastered more than once, and more or certainly in the same topic, you can get scholarship opportunities with it too, which is definitely some of the things that we're going to be looking at.
I want to jump back to Girl Scouts. Juliette, you mentioned that you were working with the Girl Scouts to help them. Did I understand correctly? You're helping them virtually work with the Girl Scouts to get their badges. First, I want to know how that came about, and a little bit of why, and again, what you're doing with that.
Well, I was going to go to a Girl Scout retreat and teach them. However, basically the COVID-19 hit, and they still asked if I'd be able to help, because they saw that we were teaching classes and I was teaching art classes. So they basically sent me the requirements that needed to be received to receive their drawing badge. And basically, I broke it down into different classes. Some of them I was able to combine, like perspective and shading, I was able to combine to one class. So if you go back and actually see some of our classes, some of the art classes are a specific way. Like my landscaping with crayons, that's something that people have in their household, while also helping them achieve that landscape part of their badge. So there's different requirements. So I created classes through our STEM classes that they could log on, learn how to draw these things, and to earn points for their drawing badge.
And why Girl Scouts?
Well, originally, again, as I said, they actually reached out to us after seeing all the stuff we were doing and asked if I'd be willing to teach a class, as I taught art classes to the senior center and was posting stuff about that. So they reached out to us. They also reached out to us through Facebook saying, hey, is there any way we could still learn these classes digitally? And just a lot of times people will think 4-H, Girl Scouts, we often refer to them as similar. So I thought it would definitely be kind of interesting to do a class of both.
Let's talk a little bit about school, and maybe Miss Bell can jump in. You two have a very unique school schedule.
So just to start it off, so our school schedule is Mondays are an optional tutorial that go from 9 to 12. And then we have 3 days of school. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which all go from 8:10 to 12:30. And then after that, it's kind of like a lunch after school period. And then Fridays, we obviously have off. So even the days that we are learning, they're a shortened and more condensed period. So kind of the main thing that we've been able to do is obviously 4-H, but obviously, as I keep mentioning, the volunteering, I would never have been able to go and do that without the condensed schedule. But even though this is a more condensed schedule, we're still able to have clubs like the one that I've been able to form with Ms. Bell. We're still able to do our clubs after that. So that's what we've been able to do. I don't know if Julie wants to.
And basically with like other things where previous, when we went to a private school, I wasn't able to leave for certain events. I was invited to a Julie Goodnight conference at the agriculture center. And originally I wasn't allowed to go. They told me I couldn't. So once we went to Capstone, I basically was then once we went to Capstone, I was then able to take on more activities that, or not necessarily take on, but continue the activities that we loved and enjoyed. And we've been able to actually, they've also been able very, very supportive with a lot of the stuff we've done. They're like, hey, is there any way we can help with this? Is there any like guidance we can help with? They've always been super supportive with anything that Nicholas and I have done and have congratulated us with anything we've done. They've been super supportive, kind of following our journey. And with the condensed schedule, also we also have smaller classes, so we're able to connect a lot more with our teachers. And really, I haven't had a bad teacher at Capstone. They're all fantastic. And because of Capstone, we've been able to be great 4-Hers and give back to our community.
Yeah, they explained it perfectly. I remember when they first came and I first met them last year. I think it was Juliette telling me how they had a national 4-H conference that their previous school maybe didn't let them attend or something like that. And we don't have those issues at Capstone. We have students who have to be absent for extended periods of time. They might be into 4-H like Juliette and Nicholas, or they might be on set because they're actors. And so we accommodate unusual schedules and we offer that level of flexibility. And it is a beautiful thing to watch as a teacher because we're able to see the brilliance of our students unfold and it's in a way that you can't see it in a traditional school setting. And it really does trickle down into the classroom and the after school clubs. And I'm also fortunate enough to be a parent at Capstone, and I've been able to see, Nick and Juliette found our STEAM club and my son's come in. And let me tell you, my son is a little soccer player with little baseball and soccer player friends with no interest in STEM. And to be able to see them bring their passion into the school and have a school that supported them in opening this club that my son now is excited about because they started video games. Not every school would give them the opportunity to start a club like that. And so when we have students that are able to follow their dreams and follow their passions and we can support that, it translates into opportunities for all kids who may not even have known they would be interested in something. So it's a great place to be a part of for students just like these two who have passions outside of their academics. And so I think they're the perfect example of what we stand for in our school.
Awesome.
Also, something I would like to add with Capstone, by giving me more time, I've been able to log up enough hours to actually get my letterman's jacket with the U.S. Equestrian Federation, as I do a lot of I have bridle horses with different disciplines. So because of Capstone, I was able to get a lettered jacket, even though we don't go to a traditional school that provides those.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So let's go back to the project. What have you learned about yourselves as you've been going through this?
So ultimately, being that this is something that really hasn't changed with what we're doing, this is just changing the way that we're doing it. So we're still doing the same classes, but ultimately get to do it to more people and to people who actually need it. And just kind of it amplifies our passion for what we do it. There's never been something that we've done and we're like, oh, we didn't want to do that. But after these, we really get to see the impact that we're getting to have, just see how our passion just keeps growing for it. And that this is something that we want to do. Even when we grow up, as I said, I want to be an engineer. Who knows? I may grow up, I may be a teacher and do exactly what I'm doing today. Or Juliette may grow up and be an art teacher and be teaching exactly what she's doing. So I would say that.
One thing that I've learned definitely is, and I've learned this a little bit with 4-H beforehand, but this has confirmed it, is Nicholas is more of a TED Talk speaker, while I would refer myself to more as a dolphin trainer type speaker. But one thing that I've definitely learned is that you can still make a difference doing kind of not necessarily the bare minimum, but you can basically push yourself to help others with practically nothing. I mean, these classes we've done are stuff that we enjoy and we know other people enjoy. We just take the time to record them and help people get the resources and the stuff that they need. And I definitely learned that I wouldn't be able to do everything without my brother. And we wouldn't be able to do this project without all the people's support, all the people who love us, and all the people who kind of have an interest in STEM, have an interest in art, have an interest in all of these things, that we got chosen for our grant. That basically it just takes one step, one act of kindness to spread.
And just another kind of quick funny thing that we've learned is being that our videos are mainly focused to be relatively short. I think our shortest video is 15 minutes to 45 minutes. But they also take into account simple household items. Again, as we said, we use toothpicks, we use pipe cleaners, we use spoons, anything that you can find around the house. So it definitely teaches you to be imaginative with just simple things that you can find. So just a funny thing that we've learned over doing our videos. Because kind of our process is we take something that we see that we use every day and we're like, how can we turn this into a STEM or an art project?
And can I add here too, there's lessons that are coming out of this that maybe they're not aware of, because I'm looking at how my family watches their videos. And so for my boys, what they're seeing is a lesson in consistency, and how they know that these are students in school just like them, but they're showing up every single day and they're still doing this. And my son said the other day, like, are they paying them to do this? And the answer is no. And so me seeing my kids see them show up consistently and dedicated to show up for people, I think is a valuable lesson. And I'm grateful for that one. So thank you.
Why is it important that you have the opportunity to reach out to people and share what you know?
So first of all, it's just because, obviously this is not an unfair society and world in general. People are not going to have the same opportunities that you and I get, or some people are going to be better in life and some people aren't. So definitely, if we know something that we can help other people with, it's your job to help them and to make everything, I wouldn't say equal, but just kind of what our mom is showing. With 4-H, the motto is make the best better. So if there's something that you can help, it's just your job to do it.
And basically, when it comes to teaching, a lot of times a lot of people will have the same passions as you or be interested in trying something new. I had read an article that basically said a lot of times that people will find things that bore them, they haven't given a second chance. They haven't looked to see what other people are passionate about it by. And basically, by teaching classes and by having the opportunity to teach, you not only can show people that you're passionate about what you do, you can also give people the chance to learn from you and learn a new skill and have fun trying something new. By teaching, you basically get a chance to make connections with students or people who follow you. I've made so many more friends who are like, hey, I saw your video. Can we be friends? Or after quarantine, is there any way you could teach classes later? Or you could show me how you did this art thing in person? And by teaching, I think it's just a great way to stay connected, because in a time like this, we need to stay connected. Even though it's virtual, the constant need to stay connected with people. And I think even with the quarantine, we should have the chance to share what we know and reach out a hand for those in need.
One final thing on this question. So before this, I did a homeschool class where I was teaching simple coding. And I was doing one of our art classes there. And there was a young boy there, and his name was Ethan. And his mom came up and told us that he didn't really have a passion before this. He was a young kid, but after we did these classes, we had one class, I think it was our final class, where we were going to do a big obstacle course and see what they had learned. And it was a class at 10 o'clock. He told us that he was up at 6 o'clock, and like shoes were on at 8. And he was like, okay, we're ready to go. And when she told us that he didn't have a passion, but this is something that he wanted to do, and that he just had such a liking for it, that earlier I mentioned that I had that mentor, Kevin Carroll, who obviously I had this passion for a long time, but with Kevin Carroll, he was my mentor. He showed me that this is something that I want to do. And I can only see that in myself, which I'm not trying to brag or say anything like that. But when I see Ethan, I see in myself a mentor that can be there for other people as well.
Basically, our message is, although we're in a hard time right now, stay connected. Tell a friend that you haven't talked to in a long time that you miss them, and go out and learn something new. Find something that you thought was fairly boring, or something that you had an interest in but just haven't had the courage to try, as long as it's safe, and just go out and try it. Find something new. We have extra time now, and really utilize it. The world is a big and small place. It's just it's pretty much yours for the taking. And although the quarantine can be stressful, we will get through this.
And also just to thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Ms. Bell. It was just very nice to do this.
We appreciate it.
Of course.
Today's guests on Spark 101 Voices have been Juliette and Nicholas McKinley, along with their teacher, Miss Bell. Visit the McKinleys on their Facebook page by searching McKinley's 4-H STEAM Project Club. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. You can connect with me and the whole Spark 101 team on all the socials by searching Spark 101 STEM, or visit us directly at www.spark101.org.